Hey, welcome to Story Time. Today we have one of my favorite stories with one of my favorite authors. It is Jack and the Beanstalk by Kellogg. Now, one thing that Kellogg likes to do with his illustrations is he does something called foreshadowing. So even before the story begins, he has these beautiful illustrations that kind of set you up for things that are going to happen later in the story. So here is the picture, and we notice this magician over here, and he's watching this huge cyclone thing, and who's coming out of the cyclone? And he's grabbing some gold, and what else is on the table? Oh, there's a chicken with some eggs by it and a heart, and these are pirates, because of the flag. So the ogre is taking some things from the pirates. And then in this picture, which also says Jack and the Beanstalk, Kellogg. Here's the magician. There goes whatever that big guy was back up into the sky. Oh, and look, the pirate ship is sinking. And then we notice somebody else. Here is a boy. This is Jack and his cow. And who's coming along the road? Looks like a princess. So it's starting to tell the story even before there's any words. So here is Jack and his cow, and he meets up with the princess on the road, and he gives her some flowers. What do you think that could mean for later on in the story? And then here's the queen and the king. They're going along the road. There was, once upon a time, a poor widow who had an only son named Jack and a cow named Milky White. There's the cow. Do you think Milky White is a good name for that cow? And all they had to live on was the milk the cow gave them every morning, which they carted to the market and sold. But one morning, Milky White gave no milk, and they didn't know what to do. Oh, look, there's the magician in his balloon. With people. Cheer up, Mother. I'll go and get work somewhere, said Jack. We've tried that before and nobody would take you, cried his mother. We must sell Milky White. And with the money, start shop or something. On his way to market, Jack met a funny little old man. Well, good morning, Jack, said he. Good morning to you, said Jack, and wondered how the man knew his name. Can you tell me how many beans make 5? said the man. 2 in each hand and 1 in your mouth, said Jack, sharp as a needle. Right, said the man, and you are such a bright lad, I don't mind doing a swap with you. Your cow for these beans. Go along, said Jack. Ah, but these are magical beans, said the man. If you plant them tonight, by morning they'll grow right up to the sky. Really? said Jack. Yes, and if it doesn't turn out to be true, you can have your cow back. Back already, Jack? said his mother. Tell me, how much did you get for Milky White? You'll never guess, Mother, said Jack. Could it be 5 pounds, 10, 15? No, she cried, it can't be 20. I knew you couldn't guess. What do you say to these magical beans? Plant them tonight and... What? said Jack's mother. Have you been such a dolt, such an idiot to give away my Milky White, the best milker in the parish, for a set of 5 paltry beans? Off with you to bed, and as for your precious beans, out they go out the window. There she goes, throwing them out the window. Oh, look at them over here. They do look magical. All kind of up in the air. So Jack went upstairs to his room in the attic, and sad and sorry he was, to be sure, as much as for his mother's sake as for the loss of his supper, and at last he dropped off to sleep. What happening? Did they have to wait a while for those bean seeds to grow? They grew right away, didn't they? When he woke up, he saw that the beans had sprung up into a big beanstalk that went up and up and up till it reached the sky. So the old man spoke the truth after all. Jack gave a jump onto the beanstalk, and he climbed 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 till at last he reached the sky. Wow. Is he even climbing? What's up in the sky? Jack walked along and he walked along and he walked along till he came to a great big tall house. And on the doorstep was a big tall woman. There's Jack, there's the woman. Good morning, Mum, said Jack. Could you be so kind as to give me some breakfast? It's breakfast you want, is it? Said the great tall woman. It's breakfast you'll be if you don't move on. My man is an ogre, and there's nothing he likes better than broiled boys on toast. Oh, please, Mum, said Jack. I've had nothing to eat since yesterday morning, and truly, Mum, I may as well be broiled as die of hunger. So it's not really his mom. He just calls her Mum. Well, the ogre's wife was not half so bad after all, and she took Jack into the kitchen and gave him some bread and cheese. When all of a sudden, thump, 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 the whole house began to tremble with the noise of someone coming. Goodness gracious me, said the ogre's wife. Come along quick. And she bundled Jack into the oven just as the ogre came in. Oh, he's kind of ugly, isn't he? He was a big one to be sure. Ah, wife, he said, what's this I smell? Fee-fi-fo-fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread. Wow, look at that big axe. Nonsense, dear, said his wife. You're dreaming, or perhaps you smell the scraps of that boy you liked so much for yesterday's dinner. Here you go and have a wash and tidy up, and by the time you come back, those calves will be broiled for your breakfast. Well, the ogre had his breakfast, and after that he went to a big chest and took out a couple of bags of gold, and down he sat and counted. At last his head began to nod, and he began to snore until the whole house shook again. Then Jack crept out of the oven, grabbed a bag of gold, and was off before you could say Jack Robinson. When Jack came down the beanstalk, he threw down the gold, which of course fell into his mother's garden. Then Jack climbed down. Well, Mother, he said, wasn't I right about the beans? They really are magical, you see. So they lived off the bag of gold for some time, but at last they came to the end of it, and Jack made up his mind to try his luck once more at the top of the beanstalk. One fine morning he rose up early and jumped on the beanstalk, and climbed and climbed, and he climbed and he climbed and he climbed and he climbed, and he walked and he walked and he walked, till at last he came to the great big house he had been to before. And there, sure enough, standing on the doorstep, was the great big tall woman. You see her clear up there? There he is. Go away, boy, said the big tall woman, or else my man will eat you up for breakfast. But aren't you the youngster who came here once before? Do you know that very day my man missed one of his bags of gold? Oh, that's strange, Mum, said Jack, as bold as brass. I dare say I could tell you something about that, but I'm so hungry I can't speak till I've had something to eat. Well, the big tall woman was so curious that she took him in again. All happened as it did before. Thump, thump, thump. They heard the ogre's footsteps, and his wife hid Jack away in the oven. Fee, fi, fo, fum. After breakfast, the ogre said, "Wife, bring me the hen that lays the golden eggs." So she brought it, and the ogre said, "Lay!" And it laid an egg of gold. Soon the ogre began to nod his head and snore until the house shook. Then Jack tiptoed out of the oven, nabbed the golden hen, and off he peltered. But this time the hen gave a cackle and woke the ogre, and just as Jack got out of the house, he heard him roaring, "Wife! Wife! What have you done with my golden hen?" When Jack got back home, he showed his mother the wonderful hen and said, "Lay" to it, and it laid a golden egg every time he said, "Lay." Well, it wasn't very long before Jack decided once again to try his luck up there on the top of the beanstalk. This time, he knew better than to go right up to the ogre's house, and when the big tall woman came out with a pail, he crept up into the house and got inside. There she is coming out. That's a big pail, huh? And there he is sneaking into the house. He hadn't been there long when he heard thump. Oh, he crept into the house and got into the bread box. That's important. There he is in the bread box. He hadn't been there long when he heard thump, 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 as before, and in came the ogre and his wife. "Fee, fi, fo, fum! I smell the blood of an Englishman." "I smell him, wife! I smell him!" "Do you, my dearie?" said the ogre's wife. "Well, if it's the little rogue that stole your gold and the hen, then he's sure to have got into the oven." They both rushed to the oven. But Jack wasn't there. And the ogre's wife said, "There you are again with your fee, fi, fo, fum. Why, of course, it's the boy you caught last night and that I've just broiled for your breakfast," she said. "How forgetful I am, and how careless you are not to know the difference between live and dead after all these years." "Well, I could have sworn," muttered the ogre, and he searched harder the larder and the cupboards and everything, only luckily he did not think of the bread box. Making quite the mess, isn't he? After breakfast was over, the ogre called out, "Wife, bring me my golden harp." So she brought it, and he said, "Sing!" And the golden harp sang most beautifully. Wow, look at that. And went on singing till the ogre fell asleep and began to snore like thunder. Jack lifted the lid very quietly and crept like a mouse on hands and knees till he came to the table, and up he crawled and caught hold of the golden harp. But the harp called out, "Master, master!" And the ogre woke up. Oh dear. Oh, look at the ogre's wife. She's worried too. Jack ran as fast as he could, and the ogre came running after. When the ogre saw Jack climbing down for dear life, he swung himself onto the beanstalk, which shook with his weight. Down climbed Jack, and after him climbed the ogre. Jack called out, "Mother, mother, bring me the axe." There's Jack with the harp. Oh, there's the ogre. What does he have in his hand? Jack's mother rushed out with the axe in her hand, and Jack gave a chop at the beanstalk, cutting it in two, and the ogre fell down and broke his crown, and the beanstalk came tumbling after. There's Jack with his axe. boy, that's a scary looking ogre. With the showing of the golden harp and the selling of the golden eggs, Jack and his mother became very rich, and Jack married a great princess, and they all lived happily ever after. So, do you remember that princess at the beginning? That is who Jack married. So that was what it was foreshadowing or telling. And also the magician. And it also told us where the ogre got the treasures in the first place. There's Jack all grown up and his princess wife. And there's all their little babies. And look, the magician on the road. And there's Milky White.